How to upgrade your brain. Listen, if you're clicking on this video, what I can tell about you is you want more out of life. And what that means is maybe you want more money, maybe you want more impact, maybe you want more confidence, maybe you want more self-love, maybe you want to be more comfortable in your skin, whatever it may be. All those things are obtainable and achievable by upgrading your brain and understanding how the brain works. Now, who am I? Well, I'm Nick Santonastasso. I'm a global keynote speaker, and I help people just like you unwire and rewire the brain so they can have more success and more impact and more income. And it's really important for you to understand that in life, oftentimes it's not a strategy problem. It's not a tactical problem, which, by the way, you can learn the strategies and you can learn the tactics, right? But let's take losing weight, for example. How many of you in the chat, as you're listening to this, how many of you know how to lose weight? Right? You know how to lose weight. You know the strategy to lose weight. You put less food in this hole, you move your body around, and you start to lose weight. Well, if you know the strategies, why don't most people lose weight? The reason being is because it's not a mechanic problem. It's a brain problem. It's a psychology issue. There's something going on with the brain. Sydney, welcome, welcome. So there's something going on with the brain. And so if I can teach you a little bit about the brain and how you can upgrade the brain, you can change the game for yourself and your family. Now, all of this is helping you become more aware of how the brain works so you can leverage the brain and not let the brain leverage you. So if I can make you aware of specific information, you can't look at life the same. This is what we call the law of exposure. And the law of exposure states that once I'm exposed to a specific set of information, I cannot be unexposed, meaning I can't see life the same. Another analogy is if I took this whole group and everybody watching and I took you all on a private jet, you'd never want to fly Spirit again. The reason being is because you tasted the next level of life. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to teach you a little bit about the brain and how to upgrade it and where your beliefs come from. So first and foremost, what we need to understand about the brain is that your brain is a survival mechanism. Your brain is only here to keep you alive. Now, back in the day, thousands of years ago, when we were cavemen and cavewomen, the brain's sole purpose was to keep you alive from the saber-toothed tiger that's coming to kill you and your family. And so your brain only thought about staying alive, getting shelter, and getting food. But nowadays, in 2022, most of us watching here don't have saber-toothed tigers coming to kill us and our families. So now we have different things that our brain's trying to protect us from. We have different fears, right? Some of the biggest fears that the brain indicates in this day and age is fear of rejection, fear of not being loved, fear of failure, fear of success. And one of the biggest fears is fear of public speaking. Most people are so afraid of public speaking. Now, your brain wants what's comfortable, what's known, and what's certain. It always wants to keep you comfortable. It doesn't want to grow, right? That's why change is so hard, because the brain doesn't want you to grow. But what we also need to know about the brain is that most of your beliefs, the way that you view the world, the way that you see things, the things that you believe, most of your beliefs were cultivated between 0 and 7 years old. 0 and 7 years old. And the reason being is because between 0 and 7, your brain was in what we call theta state. And theta state is the door to the subconscious mind, right? AKA, you were very suggestible and you believed everything that you heard between 0 and 7 years old. You only know what you know. You can only see what you can see. So for example, I'm going to share a few sentences. And if you've ever heard these few sentences as a little boy or little girl, I want you to drop a yes in the chat, right? You ready for this? And so if you've ever heard this as a little boy or little girl, just drop a yes in the chat. The first one, we can't afford that. Maybe with some of your family, a parent, whatever, maybe we can't afford that, right? The next one, money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are evil. Rich people are greedy. They probably screwed someone over for that thing or that car or that house. Big boys don't cry. Big girls don't cry. You ask too many questions. You see, if you've heard any of those things as a little boy or little girl, on an unconscious level, you may have beliefs that are holding you back from the next level of life. So for example, at an early age, you believe that money was hard to make. At an early age, you believe that big boys don't cry and I shouldn't feel emotions. And because I'm a man and have to not feel emotions and have to suppress them, I have to soothe and have to work through my own stuff and I have to just drive and drive and drive. Big girls don't cry, don't show emotions, it's weak. And at an early age, you believe that showing emotions, vulnerability, and authenticity was weak, right? You weren't worth that, or shut up, you asked too many questions. And so at an early age, you stopped asking questions. You stopped your curiosity because someone told you at an early age, as a little boy or little girl, that you shouldn't ask questions and you're stupid, right? Even when you got in high school or when you got into middle school. For example, for me, I wasn't the best student, right? And so I would get a specific grade on a test, and because I got a specific grade on the test, I believed that I was stupid. And because I believed that I was stupid, I wouldn't take action, I wouldn't read things, I wouldn't try new things because I always thought that I just wasn't smart and everybody else was smarter than me. The truth is, I wasn't enjoying the things that I was learning. And I'm a great student when I learn something that I'm really fired up about. And you're probably similar like that. You probably maybe you didn't do so well in school, but when you are studying and learning something that you're really passionate about, you tend to retain the information and you really like it. Does this make sense? So most of your beliefs were cultivated between 0 and 7 years old from the things that you saw. Now, by the way, I'm not throwing stones at your parents. I'm not bashing your parents, because the truth is, would you agree that your parents did the best they could with what they knew and how they were conditioned? They were conditioned a certain way. They were exposed to specific information. They were told some of the same things, and on an unconscious level, they trickled down those beliefs to you on an unconscious level. Another question that you can ask yourself is, how are my parents, or how were my parents with money? If you're curious on why you have money or don't have money, or why you're not good at managing money or you lose money, is you can ask yourself, how were my parents with money? How did they manage money? What was their relationship with money? For example, in my family, money was a topic that we didn't talk about. You don't tell anyone how much money you have. You don't tell how much money you don't have, whatever it may be. We don't talk about money. And the truth is that if you come from a family that doesn't talk about money, you most likely won't make money because it's a taboo subject. It's not something that you have an amazing relationship with. You cannot make impact and income if you don't have an amazing relationship with money and it's not talked about, right? So in my family, we didn't talk about money. So maybe in your family, you don't talk about money, or maybe you saw people with a bunch of money, right? Our life is dictated by what we've been exposed to and what we can see. And the truth is that the majority of things that are holding you back are unconscious. You cannot see them. And neuroscience shows that when you look at brain science, studies show that by the age of 35, you are 95% unconscious. 95% unconscious. That means your thoughts, your actions, your words, your emotions, your beliefs, your triggers, the way you show up is 95% on autopilot. Because the reason why it's on autopilot is your brain doesn't want to exude so much energy. So it's easy to just be habitual. So most of your life's habitual. That means only 5% of your brain is trying to make a conscious change in your life. That's why change is so hard, because 95% of who you are is unconscious. You don't even realize it. So all I'm doing here is in this training is making you aware of the things, or making you aware of the way that the brain operates and where you started to believe things. So what are some of the beliefs that you believe? Is money hard to make? You have to work hard in order to get money, right? That you're stupid, that you don't have the knowledge, that you don't have the resources. How dare you? You can't be an entrepreneur. You can't start a business. No one in your family's ever done that. You really think you can lose the weight? No one in your family has ever lost the weight. Your whole family's obese. These are the things that we start to believe at a very early age. And the reason why our beliefs are so important is because our beliefs shaped our destiny. Our brain is always trying to prove our beliefs right. So if you have a belief that money is hard to make, your brain's going to try to prove it to you and make sure it proves it to you by you never making money and you really believing that money is hard to make. If you have a belief that you are stupid and that you are uneducated, your brain will point out all the reasons why you are uneducated and you're not so smart. If you have a belief that you can never get in an amazing relationship, you will never get into an amazing relationship. This is the very reason, listen to me, and I'm saying this from someone who had all the limiting beliefs. I was born with no legs and one arm. I had all the odds stacked against me. I thought I'd never have a job. I'd never have a girlfriend. I'd never have a career. I'd never make an impact. I'd just be a kid with no legs and one arm, and I'd sit in my wheelchair all day and do nothing. How does a man with no legs and one arm go from that to 2 7-figure companies, online education, doing all these amazing things. The reason being is because I have a specific set of beliefs. Someone dropped beliefs in the chat. I have a specific set of beliefs. You can unwire and rewire yourself. You can unwire old beliefs and rewire new beliefs. And a belief is a feeling of absolute certainty. A belief is something that you say or you think over and over and over and over and over again. So the question that I would ask this group is, what have I been thinking, doing, and saying that I know doesn't serve me? What is the tape that I play over and over and over again in my head that I know doesn't serve me? The tape like, I'm not good enough. I'll never get a boyfriend. I'll never get a girlfriend. I'll never work my dream job. I'll never pass that test. I'll never find true love. I'll never lose the weight. What are all the things you think, you say, you do that you know doesn't serve you? And the truth is, every time that you speak something like that, I'm broke, I don't have the money, you reaffirm the belief, you give it more power. And in this training, you can identify where these beliefs come from. Oh, yeah, my parents always used to say, save my money and don't spend it because money's hard to make. Or, I saw them struggle with money, and so I thought everybody struggled with money. Now you're starting to become aware of where your brain picked up on this conditioning, right? Where your brain started to pick up on this conditioning. And now, since you're aware of the very beliefs, you can reinstall new ones. You can reinstall new ones. And oftentimes, your limiting beliefs, you can rewrite them in the opposite format, and they're some of the most empowering beliefs. For example, it's like, I don't have money. It's like, I'll find ways to create money. I'll learn how to create money. There's YouTube. There's all these mentors and things that I can get for free. I don't even have to pay for them. I will figure out how to make money. Or the belief of, I'm stupid. No, I'm not stupid. I just really love to learn about things that I'm fired up and I'm passionate about. Right? I'll always be overweight. No, every single day that I start to move my body, I start to lose weight. Every single day that I work on myself and I start loving on myself, I will start to lose the weight. What is the new tape and the new story that you need to reinstall or install into your brain so you can show up better for the world? Now, by the way, this doesn't, snap your fingers for me if you can, this doesn't happen overnight, right? Unwiring and rewiring, this doesn't happen overnight. This is a muscle that you have to exercise. And just like a muscle, if you don't use it, you lose it. So you have to constantly write out beliefs. What are some beliefs that you want to believe about yourself? I'm beautiful. I am kind. Money comes to me easily. I'm a smart girl. I'm a smart boy. I'm invested in my health. What are some of the things that you would like to say? What would you like to say about yourself that would make the difference for you? Maybe in this training is the pivotal moment where you start to love on yourself a little bit more, where you start to talk to yourself in a more positive way. I always ask my people, would you date the person that lives inside your head? Would you talk to your daughter? Would you talk to your brother? Would you talk to your mom the way that you talk to yourself inside your head? And the truth is, for the majority of people here on this training, the answer is no, they wouldn't, because they're always bashing themselves and they're always focused on what they did wrong and what they can't control and all the things that are going wrong in their life. Right? What's right in your life? You see, my friends, what's wrong in your life is always available for you to focus on. But on the flip side, what's right in your life is always available for you to focus on as well. You choose what you focus on. You choose. So what are the things that I've been thinking, doing, and saying that I know don't serve me? Write them out. Put them on a piece of paper, whatever it may be, so you can be aware of them. And every time that your brain starts to think those things, you can start thinking differently. Now, there's three parts of the brain that are really important for you to understand. There's three parts of the brain. There's the thinking, there's the doing, and then there's the being. Right? So maybe some of you remember the first time you learned how to drive a car, right? The first time you learned how to drive a car, you got in your car, you put your seatbelt on, you're checking the mirrors, you're kind of freaking out a little bit, and then you got on your way. And then you got what we call reps. You got repetition, you got reps in. And then you went from driving once to you drive 5 times, 10 times. And the 10th time you learned how to get in the car, you jumped in, you put your seatbelt on, and you were on your way. Now, some of you have driven 500 times, 1,000 times. How many of you have ever driven from point A to point Z and had no idea where time went? That's because you got so many reps with driving until you went from thinking driving to doing driving to being driving. You have unconscious competence of driving. This is the same strategy for any skill, any tactical strategy that you want to learn. You have to do it so many times until you go from thinking it to doing it to being it. Guess what? Self-love, if you want to start loving yourself more, you need to love on yourself and find ways of loving yourself so many times until you go from thinking self-love to doing self-love to being self-love. Confidence. What are things that are going to install confidence into your brain? Moving your body, eating healthier, going to the gym, running. I don't know what it is, but what are the very things that you need to do that are going to make you feel more confident? Do that so many times until you go from thinking it to doing it to being it, until you are confident. Confidence doesn't just happen overnight. Making money doesn't just happen overnight. Becoming the person that's worthy of self-love and worthy of an amazing relationship doesn't happen overnight. Right? But if you do something long enough, you become a master of it. If you do something long enough, you embody it. So speaking of confidence, is like, what are the very things that make you feel confident that you need to do more of? What are the very things that make you feel confident, make you feel comfortable in your skin that you need to do more of, that empower you, versus doing all the things that don't empower you? What are the very things that allow you to experience more self-love for yourself? Or where did you learn to not love yourself? Maybe you saw a parent. Maybe you saw someone who raised you who didn't have self-respect for themselves. They didn't love themselves. They destroyed their body. They destroyed their mind. Who taught you not to love yourself? Who taught you not to value yourself? Who taught you that money was evil? Who taught you that money doesn't grow on trees? Who taught you that vulnerability was weak and authenticity was weak? Who told you to shut up and stop asking questions? Now, these people did the best they could with what they knew in their conditioning, but now it's time for you to unwire and rewire. This is a big step in your journey. There's a couple people live right now. Like, I want to commend you for being here and showing up, because this information, once you know this information, you cannot look at life the same. And this is the start. For some of you, this is the start of constantly doing the work and identifying, where did these beliefs come from and how can I strip power away from these beliefs? But you only know what you know. And I promise you, if you consistently pursue training the brain, doing mindset trainings, learning more about the brain and how to leverage the brain and not let the brain leverage you, learning more about yourself and where your beliefs come from and where your operating systems stem from, life will look drastically different 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. I can promise you that. This is the work that most people don't do. So if this training was powerful for you and you got some sort of takeaway, some sort of aha, some sort of self-awareness moment, you're like, oh, I learned that from that. I believe that as a young kid. If you got anything valuable, any ha-has, drop them in the chat. What I want you to do, I want you to hit the bell. I want you to subscribe. And also in the link, we have a link to a free community, a free Discord community where we do trainings, we do giveaways, we do events. But also, if you want to continue the daily motivation and you want to continue the mindset training and how to unwire and rewire your brain, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat and I'll be looking at the chat and I'll answer anything that I can throughout the rest of the time that this video is up. I appreciate y'all, wherever you're tuning in from. I'm sending love, and this is how you start the process of upgrading your brain. I'm Nick Santanastas. I'll see you on the other side.